Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Party on Broad. I'm a little under the weather today, but we're going to keep on rolling here. And today we're breaking down a Sixers draft target named Joe Wieskamp, a guy who is a flat-out, straight-up shooter from beyond the arc, but has been turning a lot of heads. And to help me break it down is my man, Tiago. Be sure to follow him on Twitter at @tscabby. What's up, Tiago?
It's going, Chris. We got a lot more time on our hands now that the Sixers choked away a chance to be playing at the NBA Finals. So a lot of time to break down these prospects and find out who can help them here.
I know. I was watching some of our old ones recently, like Josh Christopher, Quentin Grimes. Yeah. And sure enough, like in those videos, we're like sort of reacting to, the Sixers are up 2-1 on the Hawks.
Yeah.
The Sixers are up 3-1 on the Washington Wizards. Nah, man.
I think in one of them I said, after they beat the Hawks and they play, I was like, I'll go back and erase that one.
Yeah, a lot has changed. But anyway, we're going to keep on ramping up our Sixers draft coverage. If you love the Sixers, give this video a like. Let's start the tape here. Joe Wieskamp, 34 points in 2 games. He was 6 of 7 in the second scrimmage, 42-inch vert. Tiago, this guy's turning some heads. Tell us a little bit about Joe Wieskamp.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the key, right? Because I think when I thought about Joe Wieskamp coming into the draft, I think it was the idea that he might not even be a draftable player just based on what you see on tape. It just doesn't look as athletic as most of the other players on the court. But the combine, raised some big time, excitement around him because he's a guy who tested over 40 inches on the vertical. Mm-hmm. And he tested well in other combine metrics as well. And I think that from that standpoint, it really changes the conversation around this guy. And this is one of the most fluid, pure shooters in the NBA draft. I mean, you watch him on tape here. We're going to do this comparison a lot in this podcast. It could be Duncan Robinson 2.0. And if you guys know Duncan Robinson well, he is one of the most lethal shooters in the NBA. Now, for him to get there, it's going to be difficult. I mean, Duncan Robinson was born into one of the most demanding programs, the Miami Heat. And, there's some gaps between him and Robinson for sure. But if you watch his style of play, his fluidity, his shooting stroke, his range, there's a lot there in that 2-guard, perhaps even small forward role. So, there's a lot of positives to work with him, and we'll see whether the chips fall for him at the NBA draft.
Yeah, in addition to a 42-inch vert and just lighting it up from 3 during the 5-on-5s at the NBA Combine, dude has a 6'11" wingspan. So there's a lot to like. Tiago, what are some of his strengths?
Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty clear with Joe. It's shooting. I mean, here's a guy who is going to really extend your offense in a very, very positive way. But the thing that's really exciting when you start breaking down his shooting element is how he does it. So if we just look at it on the ball, right, it's a guy who he's very polished in terms of how to get his shots off. So he'll use a little step, jump step, or a little jab step just to create a little shooting space. And he's got one of the most quickest, fluid shooting strokes that you'll see in the NBA draft. It's very quick, so it puts a lot of pressure on defenders to stick with him and make sure that they close in on that shooting window. So from on the ball standpoint, he's got a lot of polish to work with, but really it's off the ball where I think he's really going to make his name in the NBA. And if you watch how Iowa utilizes him, again, a lot of motion in Iowa's offense, not your standard, static college basketball offense. So they'd run him through a lot of screens, a lot of pin down kind of pick and pop kind of looks where, he'll set the screen and then flash back out to the 3-point line. So that's the kind of stuff that you really see at the NBA. And if you go back to that Duncan Robinson comparison, if you watch Duncan Robinson with the Heat, it's mostly coming off those screens, coming off those pin downs, having 2 or 3 guys just flash right at him and either take the shot or, pass it down to a rolling Bam Adebayo. So that's really I think he's really going to make his name, and the NBA is kind of working off those shooting situations. And he's got a great frame. He's got, like you said, Chris, you mentioned his height, his wingspan. He's one of those guys who puts a lot of pressure on defenders because he's such a quick release and in a large frame. So it's tough for defenders to really contest him at that shooting stroke. So yeah, I mean, it's really around the shooting. It's around how teams deploy him. And I think when we talk about the Sixers, I mean, they can use a guy like that in any position on the court. So
yeah. We have Eagles underdogs saying I would stay away from Iowa players. No history of good players in the NBA, and they're always good in college, but fall off in the NBA. All right.
Hey, you got to start somewhere, man. They're not good in NFL either, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I like the release. Like you said, it's just quick, it's high. A lot of guards are going to have trouble with that shot at the next level for sure. What are some of his weaknesses? I saw that he was top 4 in agility at the NBA Combine too. So he does have pretty good footwork and pretty quick feet. Like, what's his defensive potential ceiling, and what are some of the other weaknesses for Joe Wieskamp, Tiago?
So I think it's about not getting bullied in the NBA. And I think if we keep going back to the Duncan Robinson comparison, like Duncan Robinson by no means is a plus defender. And I don't think Joe will ever be a plus defender in the NBA. But I mean, we watch, the Heat against, the Sixers a few times, and he's not going to get bullied. Like Duncan Robinson, with Ben Simmons, like he doesn't get bullied that he's in the post, and, he hangs on his own. And I think that's really going to be the key with Joe is, can you handle the physicality? Listen, quickness wise, he's a longer, thinner, kind of upright kind of player. On a switch, he's just not going to be able to stick with some of these quicker guards in the NBA. But can you handle the physicality and hold your own? And I think that if he does that, I think he's going to be okay at the NBA defensively. Where I'm really interested to see from weakness standpoint is like, listen, he doesn't really have a great handle. He's not a kind of guy who's going to play and make off the bounce. And this is a guy who's going to be on team scouting reports very early because they're like, listen, this guy can shoot. So in the NBA, those shooting windows that you see in college are not going to be there. So what I'm really interested to see is when they throw 2-3, help defenders at him, can he play make off that? So can he pass off that? Can he maybe dribble out of that and find an open guy off that pressure? So I think that's really where, he can build upon his weakness at the NBA and kind of figure out how to add additional offense besides his shooting that should project very well at the next level.
Nice. Let's see. I'm looking at off-ball stats. Duncan Robinson, 1.3 points per possession, 88th percentile, shot 47% in that. So anyway, let's move on to fit with the Philadelphia 76ers, dude. Do you see this guy as a potential, assuming first-round pick, right?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick. I actually think he may be a second-round pick, and I think that he may be available in that range, late second, where the Sixers are drafting. The Philly is pretty obvious. I mean, it's what the Sixers need is clear as day. They need space around their star player Joel Embiid, and if they do keep Ben Simmons, they need guys who can run with him, who can shoot, who have a quick release. All that stands fit very well with Philadelphia. What I'm interested to see is how, if he is drafted, how can they deploy him? So we talked about earlier in the podcast around that kind of downscreen pick and pop. So you think about, for instance, Ben or Tyrese as the lead ball handler, right? So they come downhill. Joe sets a screen, pops back out, and then either Ben or Tyrese, pass it back for Joe for a 3-point shot. So those are the type of situations that, where he really fits in with the Sixers. He's not going to be like a 20, 25-minute player at the NBA, I don't think, unless he takes on that leap into the Duncan Robinson type player. And that's going to have to come on the defensive end for him to, be playable on that end. So, but again, in these 10, 15-minute spurts, a guy like that can give you some of the stuff that you expected out of Mike Scott and some of the other players on the team. So, again, late second round, there's not a lot to lose with getting guys like that. And if he's undrafted, it's even a better proposition for the team. So
awesome. That is Tiago. Please be sure to follow him on Twitter at @tscabia. Tiago, any final thoughts? Where can we find you, man?
Yeah, man. I mean, we'll continue to be doing these throughout the draft. The NBA Combine just wrapped up here, and there's a lot of interesting takeaways. So we'll be scouring through the data, the game film, and see who can make sense for the Sixers next month.
All right, guys, please be sure to give this video a like. You can find all these videos at the Paint Lines YouTube channel. I think we're like at 24 now. So we're going to keep plugging along, right up until the NBA draft and even more so. So thank you, everybody, for watching. For Tiago, for myself, stay awesome, everybody.
Sixers win it! Wow! Oh man, Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook.